We got way too much show for me to prattle on and on here for a couple of minutes. Very quickly, Chiefs fans are upset with Kelce. Broncos fans are mad at the officials. Steelers fans are upset with the defense. And Bengals fans are upset with the franchise for not protecting the franchise. Say it ain't so, Joe. A toe? Oh, how bungly. Let's get to the show here. Oh, well, Fancy Pants Joe Burrow may not be playing hurt, but Dameshek is. I have a fever of 100. Let's go, Football Americans. This episode of Football America is presented as ever by DraftKings. DraftKings, the crown is yours. We have Jonathan Zaslow and Geoff Schwartz coming at you to break down what we just saw in week 2. The Fuentes brothers have the con as ever in Miami. There's Bradley up in NYC, your old pal Dave here in LA. Let's start things off right out of the gate with the guy you know as the host of Zaslow Show 2.0. You hear him all the time on the Dan Le Batard Show. What a charmer he is there, and he's on an ongoing college football tailgate tour for ESPN Radio. It's Jonathan Zaslow. What's happening, fella?
Hello, Dave. Thanks for having me on. I'm excited to be here.
You saw a gem in Knoxville on Saturday, eh?
Oh, man, those Tennessee fans, they were so sad. They were shook. You know, the kid, he kicks the field goal to win it at the end. Tennessee was trying to beat Georgia for the first time in 9 tries, and the kick, it sailed wide right, but the crowd started cheering, and they even did the thing where the stadium flickers the lights, you know, because like it means they won the game.
Oh, no.
But the kick was no good. They thought it was good at first. It was no good. And then, of course, Georgia won.
Yeah, that was very sad. I have greater empathy when a college kicker misses one. I don't care if the pro guys do, but I feel real sad when a 19-year-old kid has 100 teammates looking at him like, you blew it for all of us, chump. You probably don't let him ride home on the bus and all that kind of stuff. And then also our main man, an offensive lineman for many moons in pro football, now host of Geoff Schwartz is Smarter Than You. Wouldn't you know it? It's Geoff Schwartz. What's the haps with you, fella?
Well, the thing about college kickers is that they show them on TV for like 7 minutes leading up to the kick. In the NFL, they don't do that in the NFL, right? Like they just don't. They like, oh, the kicker comes in the game. They showed that Tennessee kicker for 5 minutes before the actual kick. And then the Notre Dame long snapper, not the long snapper, the holder who dropped the snap. They showed him the entire last drive. Like it'd be A&M play. Show the holder. A&M play, show the holder. So in college, they build that suspense up. But they just don't do that in the NFL. They don't build up suspense. And also, too, these NFL kickers, I mean, the Cowboys dude just banged a 64-yarder that was good from 70 to tie the game. These guys just make these kicks now that are unbelievable.
Well, it's true, and Brandon Aubrey is literally, in my opinion, I know it sounds like hyperbole, in the conversation for the greatest kicker in the history of people already. Before we jump into pro football, so much to get to. Burrow's toe, and Kelce, and Broncos fans are upset about the officiating, and the Steelers fans are upset about the defense, and so on and so forth. But first, Zaz, since you're on the college football beat, I hate the preseason polls. And the reason is because what it then requires is, or for most human beings, is to self-validate what you thought at the start of August, even if there is evidence that you maybe overrated a team. Bottom line, Notre Dame is 0-2, and they're still in the top 25. What gives?
Yeah, I don't like it. You know, I was talking about this on the Le Batard Show today, and I got some pushback when I said Notre Dame's done. You know, they're 0-2, and their 2 toughest games on the schedule are these first 2 games, most likely, and they lost them both. And I was getting pushback that, no, but they're Notre Dame. So if they win the rest of their games, it doesn't even matter that the rest of their schedule doesn't really feature many good opportunities for big wins. They're Notre Dame. They're going to get in, and the fact that they're still ranked at 0-2 would probably mean that they're right and I'm wrong.
I say it all the time, but like I've met famous people. That doesn't mean that fame rubs off on me and makes me famous. Notre Dame was out on the field with 2 teams that whipped them. Why Notre Dame gets any bang out of that, I have no idea. Geoff Schwartz, how say you?
Oh, Notre Dame's going to be a playoff team. I hope everyone's ready for it.
So you're saying they're going to run the table, because that is sort of the requirement, right?
Oh, no, they're not going 9-3 in any of the postseason. But you think about, like, who are let's just talk right now. Like, there's 12 playoff teams, right? Who are the 11 teams better? Who would take right now to beat Notre Dame the list is very short, right?
Geoff, we've seen the results. They lost. You have to put anybody but them because they already had their opportunity twice over and lost both. The idea Notre Dame's still good is crazy logic that has been applied for my whole lifetime. Well, deep down
they
who's
lost.
Better.
They lost on the road with a redshirt freshman making his first start by 3 points to probably the best team in the country at the moment in Miami. Lost to A&M by 1. I don't really think that's some. It's different than Clemson, right? Losing to the way they've lost twice. They're completely out of it in my mind. Notre Dame will get a ranked USC at some point, and I think it's week 9. They get USC, and they go 10-2. Think about the rest of the country. You're getting one from the ACC, most likely Miami, one from the Big 12. Who knows who that's going to be? 3 or 4 from the Big 10. And look, there's no say I think your Hoosiers win this weekend against Illinois. So Illinois might be knocked down. There's Indiana then run the table. There might be only 3 Big 10 teams. There might only be 3 SEC teams. Notre Dame's going to be left at 10-2 with a 3-point loss to the best team in the country and a 1-point loss to A&M. Dave, they're going to be in whether you like it or not.
It was a terrible weekend for me. Pitt lost in the backyard brawl in one of the more painful editions of that head-to-head series. The Steelers lost to the Seahawks, and my fantasy team lost Joe Burrow. It was a complete washout. So let's move on from all of that and jump into the second go-round of our hot news segment, the Jerk List, invented by Mike Fuentes last week. We're trying to figure out if these statements that Mike and Gino are about to make to the three of us are knee-jerk reactions, or if in fact we will see that they are sober and rational thoughts over the course of the rest of the season. Who's first, Mike?
I'll take it, Dave, and we're going to start with lock it in. The AFC representative in the Super Bowl will be either Buffalo or Baltimore.
I'm going to add to this one right out of the gate. Buffalo or Baltimore, definitely from the AFC, and from the NFC, definitely a team that wears green. Zaz, how say you?
Yeah, I'm going to say knee-jerk. I'm going to say it's a knee-jerk reaction because I think that it's possible. Look, you got 2 teams right there and 2 quarterbacks who've never been able to essentially win the big one, all right? So I am going to say that there could be another team that sneaks its way in there. I mean, I know Denver lost yesterday, but do I think that Denver maybe can make a little noise at some point? Yes. Maybe the Chargers, we'll see a little bit more out of them tonight. So I think there's a couple of teams you could add to that list there.
Schwartz?
I think that's the right take. Kansas City right now, you can't put them in the Super Bowl. You just can't the way they're playing. And there's reasons for that. We'll talk about that as we go forward here. But I'm not taking Bo Nix over Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson. I'm not taking Justin Herbert right now. I think Herbert might be, and the Chargers might be that one team that might pop out of not nowhere, but a team that's not the Bills or the Ravens. As far as the NFC, I don't really. Eagles, Packers, I don't know right now who else you feel great about at the moment. The Lions obviously played really well against the Bears, but there's some deficiencies there. So I would be okay with this. Bills, Ravens, or basically Eagles, Packers.
Well, I think it's a sweep because I still have the Niners as my team in the season, like life. I know people always say life is short. The season, like life, is also long, and we are way too early on to start throwing dirt on the Niners because Mac Jones is in there. Brock Purdy's going to be back with plenty of time to do it. Bottom line, Mike Fuentes, pull out the Han Solo Edition blaster because you're a jerk. All right. That's it. Gino, you're up.
All right, let's take this thing one step further with the Chiefs, Geoff. The Chiefs, lucky to make the playoffs.
Oh, that's the knee-jerk reaction. So we obviously have an AFC West winner. We'll have a division winner. That's 4 division winners, right? And then the rest of the AFC, who are the teams that are going to be ahead of Kansas City? The Bengals are out now, right? I know Dave feels strongly his Steelers are really, really good, so maybe they're in.
How dare you? Don't attack me.
The South is who's one South team? There's not enough teams. The Chiefs, look, very simply. Their margin of error is so small right now because their skill position talent is atrocious, right? It's bottom 5 at the moment. Let's see when Rice comes back, when Worthy comes back. They have a complete offensive unit. They're going to be better. Knee jerk to say the Chiefs are not making the postseason.
Zaz.
Yeah, I wish I could say it's not knee-jerk, but it is a knee-jerk reaction right now because you look at the AFC East, there's no way that they're getting more than one team. I look at the AFC South, I don't think they're going to get more than one team. So we're talking about 3 wildcard teams coming from 2 divisions, the North and the West. So I think right now it's a knee-jerk reaction.
I'm inclined to agree with you, but dig this, fellas. Here's the Chiefs outside the legit. If the Raiders prove to be legit, and I think Monday Night Football in Vegas will go a long way to determining that. But that division is good. So they still have all those head-to-heads to come. They still have to play after the Giants next week. They get Baltimore and KC, then at Jacksonville, Detroit, the Commies, at Buffalo, and even at Dallas is a pretty good one on Thanksgiving to sit back and watch with the family. The big game is that Jacksonville one because my Colts are going to take the division like I told you, Schwartz.
Oh,
so
no.
now you have the Jags. What if they're not a bum team? And then the Texans, everybody likes that defense at minimum. That's where there are extra wild card teams that could get in the Chiefs' way. I'm still with you guys. So, Gino, bottom line, you're a jerk. There you go. Next up, Mike.
We are going to say that the best team no one's talking about, the Los Angeles Rams.
Ooh, who wants to take this one first? Zaz.
Yeah, I'll go first. I think that's a knee-jerk reaction. I'm not sold on the Rams right now. I understand they're 2-0. I'm stuck on week 1 where they only scored 14 points, 13, 14 points, whatever it was against Houston. I get it. They win yesterday, but, I mean, come on. They beat the Titans, all right? So I'm not in on the Rams taking advantage of what could be an early season easy part of their schedule. So I'm not in.
Schwartz.
I think that I was a knee-jerk reaction person to Matt Stafford's back injury, and maybe you were too, Dave. I mean,
I definitely was. I backed off them because of his back. He's an old man.
So I was big on the Rams entering the season. I had them to go back to the NFC, not back, but to go to the NFC Championship game. I wagered on them for that to happen. I wagered on them to win the NFC West. Like all these things I thought they could do. Stafford was hurt and was off of them. He didn't play the entire preseason, so week 1, you're going to have a slow game. Makes sense. And then they looked really good against Tennessee. So they'll go to Philly this weekend. We'll learn a lot about the Rams. But to me, it's not a knee-jerk because I think a lot of us like them heading into the season. We just backed off because of Matt Stafford's back injury.
This time next week, the Dolphins will have an interim head coach. They will have fired Mike McDaniel.
Oh, Zaz, I want you on this one first. Zaz's Twitter feed, you should, if you're a football fan, you should definitely be following him on social media. He's delightful, except when the Dolphins are playing.
Oh,
he
my
turns
God.
into a different person.
You're so right, because when we go on the hierarchy of the Miami teams that I care about the most, Dolphins are 3rd, all right? And I've been nutty during these 2 Dolphin games. I get very, very angry. I want to say that they will have, that it's not a knee-jerk reaction, that they will have an interim head coach. I mean, look, again, they play in just 3 nights, but I don't think the owner's got the guts to do it. I don't think the owner's got the guts to fire him mid-season. I don't think we're going to see a change anytime soon, even though maybe we should.
Schwartz.
Well, as someone who has a very big position on Dolphins under 7.5 wins, keep him as long as possible, please. Just as long as possible. Keep them. Yesterday's game was so beautifully ugly. It was just 2 teams that couldn't get out of their own way. Penalties, the back-to-back special teams touchdowns. They both looked exhausted in the weather there. Now they're turning around and going to Buffalo as a 12.5-point underdog on Thursday night. It's going to be bad Thursday night. Buffalo, one thing they do well is at home, they kick butt against bad football teams. Look at the history of Buffalo the last 3 or 4 years. So it could get ugly. What did he say after the game? Like, you play to win the game. He gave a very very fiery speech about that. So I don't know, man. I'm out on him in general, but I think he's keeping his job past Thursday.
Yeah, his attempts to be an ironic hipster aren't landing when the team is this bad. And you know what? I don't think this is a knee-jerk reaction. This is a big spot. National TV, the only game on and everything else. And if they get destroyed by a division rival, where do you go? You know the season's over at 0-3, so then it is, well, we're just going to tread water one way or the other, so we may as well keep this guy around, would be the only logic behind keeping him. I'm going to throw one at you guys real quick here, reacting to the KC Philly one and those screen grabs and the little highlights you saw, the tush push. I thought it was loco and pathetic for the rest of pro football, like 29 teams at least, for like, we got to ban this tush push. It's no good. It's like, that is the essence of football. It's rugby and all of that. I now have now changed teams on this. They should have banned the tush push. Schwartz, I'll say you. I mean, it's terrible, but you see it. Look, the guards aren't even waiting for the ball to be snapped before they're colliding with the other guys on the other side of the line.
Dave, they're cheating. They're cheating is what they're doing.
I'm certainly team pro tush push to start the season.
You would be.
It's being banned after the season. I just be quite honest. It's not going to remain. I think some of the criticisms about it are completely ludicrous. Like the neutral zone one, everyone's arguing about that. Like that's not a thing. Okay, like you can be in the neutral zone. Wide receivers line up in the neutral zone every play. That's not a thing. That's a thing for defenders who can't be over the ball, correct? There's not a thing on the offensive line. It's not a thing for wide receivers. Like, it's not an actual rule. There's no neutral zone infraction for the offense. It's either offsides or false start. If you're in front of the ball, that's a false start. It was actually, it was called yesterday on the Bengals right guard on a sneak. He was ahead of the center. And a lot of times too, the center takes the ball, guys, and moves the ball under him or out more. Like, they move the ball when they get it. So like the line of scrimmage is where essentially the official is like standing, not sometimes where the ball is, but that's a very, very like micro. The offsides are a problem, right? Like a national TV game like that, you don't call it multiple times. And look, if you're the Eagles, you just keep doing it till they call you for something.
Especially with like Big Dom leaning on the officials and everything. Yeah, it just feels like they're bullying the entire sport.
So
what are you going to do? Stop it then. Yes. Stop it then, ladies. This is pro football kind of logic.
I mean, Dean Blandino stated it during a game, like, he's tired of talking about it. So am I. The officials just aren't officiating it correctly on the false starts. Now, there's no neutral zone infraction. Again, there's not. When you get a head start like that, that's a penalty. It is what it is. It wasn't called until they call it. Keep doing it, Eagles.
I guess, but it feels like the Eagles' offense is getting the same treatment that Barry Bonds got at some point. Like, guys, Barry Bonds, you bend the rules a little bit and you tighten up the strike zone because he knows what he's doing, kind of thing. And I feel like the Eagles are getting away with things that 31 other teams would not if they ran the exact same thing.
What did Barry Bonds get away with? Steroids?
Oh, stop it. And also, I mean, ace pitchers get an expanded strike zone. Please, you weren't just born yesterday.
Against Bonds, they did?
Yes, of course. They tightened the strike zone for Bonds because his eye was so remarkable. They figured that the umps were like,
never heard
like
this
Ted Williams
before.
I've heard
stop it.
I've heard it. He couldn't possibly have not swung. I mean, swung.
Right. Never mind his armor that he was allowed to go up with. Like, yeah, I guess you would lean over the plate if it wasn't going to hurt to get beamed by the ball.
Have you seen the way the guys dress now? I'm surprised guys even have an inch of skin showing with all the armor they wear.
Doesn't make it right. And here's the other thing, too. What's really going to stink if they get rid of the tush push, but the Eagles win the Super Bowl in the interim. It's going to have a whiff of not fraudulence, but this outmoded thing that's going away, and they won it because they were using this play that's borderline, if not across the line, sketchy in the sport. I just don't love it. Zaz, how say you?
Dave, you guys are saying there's going to be an asterisk?
Bang up John again, Bradley. What were you going to say, Zaz?
Oh, no. I mean, the problem that I have with it, and I think it was the last tush push they did last night, we don't know where the ball is. There's 10 guys on top of him. And then that guy on the Chiefs thought that he had the football. On the bottom of the pile, he actually had the football. So it's so hard to officiate. We have no idea what's going on there. That's my biggest problem there. I don't know how far that football got across that line. And it looked to me, I mean, isn't it? Geoff, you could tell better than me. You're an offensive lineman. Whoever's got the ball into that pile, it's their football, I thought.
The play just ends at some point. You can't just keep fighting for the ball, and he had the ball. You have to show like clear possession of it, and the play was like that. Out of all the things that I saw yesterday with tush push, that was my least gripe. I think Hurts had the football, didn't fumble it, but it's going to be banned. So enjoy it. You got 16 weeks and plus the postseason for this play to exist.
You understand my point, though. So then the next 4 months kind of suck if the Eagles end up riding that to another Lombardi.
I do. Look, the NFL has points of emphasis that they tell the officials. And I would imagine they're going to have a call this week and it's like, let's get this play better officiated, right? Again, not the neutral zone stuff, but just the false starts and things like that, and maybe the forward progress of it. I'm going to come back on the show and debate you about Barry Bonds. Today's not the day, buddy, but that's some wild accusations there, okay?
Zaz, the reason I first reached out to you is because I was fascinated by your thought. By the way, am I a jerk for saying the Tush Push should have been banned? I don't think so. I feel like everybody kind of agrees, right?
No.
I agree.
Agreed.
Okay, so last jerk list as we then transition to a new endeavor here. Zaz, you and Dan were talking on the big show last week, and after Derrick Henry trucked the Bills, except for the fumble that cost them the game and all of that, and you said Derrick Henry may deserve to be in the conversation for the greatest running back of all time. Do you stand by that?
Absolutely. Here's the thing. We're talking, all right, so this is his 10th year in the league, all right? And I guess part of the reason that the Titans let him go, I mean, the Titans weren't in a position to win anymore, but it's also kind of like, all right, well, one of these years, he's not going to be as amazing as he always is. And it certainly doesn't seem like he's slowing down just yet. I know he didn't do much yesterday, but week number 1, my God, he's unbelievable. So my point is, if he's just going to continue to defy time and he's going to continue to be this running back that gets you 1,600 yards every season, we got to start talking about him being one of the greatest of all time, don't we?
I don't think it's a wacky thing to throw out there. It just stunned me because I had never really considered it much. Running back is a 20th century position, despite Derrick Henry last year rejuvenating it along with Saquon and Bijan Robinson and the cats that are high-end runners here in this millennium. Schwartz, let's do, I mean, this is sort of a jerk list thing. I don't think he's over his skis, Zaz, for saying that. What I want to do here is let's create, the three of us, a time capsule, not for who are the best running backs of the Super Bowl era. Of course, I don't weigh in on Jim Brown or guys who played in the 50s because I haven't seen them play. How much of an opinion can I have about somebody who I've seen highlights of? So Super Bowl era running backs, let's keep it to that. And let's cobble together the definitive list, not the best running backs of the Super Bowl era, not as of next week, not as of last month. Right now, we time capsule it forever. I'm going to start it off. I say, I don't know how you guys want to do this. Should we go our best running back first? Let's start at the top of the list here, and then we can debate. For me, it remains Sweetness, Walter Payton. I'm a man of a certain age who watched Payton alongside Barry Sanders, and then obviously Emmett emerged and Terrell Davis and all the rest of it. But the best running back I've ever seen in terms of complete and hard runner and fast and could do it all is Sweetness. Zaz, how say you?
Yeah, I'm in the same boat there when we're talking about guys who we only saw really highlights of. I mean, I was alive for Walter Payton, but I was too young to experience it on a week-to-week basis. Like,
show off.
Like for me, for that guy, for me, the first great running back that I felt that I was watching as a kid was Barry Sanders. That's probably how far back I can go, where I understand what I'm watching on a week-to-week basis.
He's in the conversation and certainly has to be in this, like, let's say 5 or half dozen names that will float out there. I think he's the most overrated of the running backs because he thrived. People say, well, he didn't have a fullback and he was on that spread offense. Yeah, that was perfect for Barry Sanders to be in a spread like that. He was a home run hitter among all-time home run hitters because he would dance around. There were halftime. He'd get the halftime sometimes with like 7 carries for 11 yards.
Totally.
But he was always trying to break the big one. And, I think he might be the most spectacular, best highlight reel, but that doesn't make him the best running back. Schwartz, how say you?
I had never considered Derrick Henry in this way. I'm just looking up numbers. He's not the best running back. I think Walter Payton's probably the answer here. But I mean, he's got to be discussed in this discussion. I would probably say him. Walter Payton. Emmitt Smith has got to be up. It's got to be just as high as these other guys, right? I know he had the benefit of playing with that offensive line. Again, like I was born in '86. I think Payton retired in '87, so it's hard for me to like put someone up there who I just never watched play. This is always the fun part of these discussions, right? Like, how do you rate players you never saw play? But I think Walter Payton being number 1 is certainly fair. Emmett probably is number 2.
The snobs that I deal with on this subject when they want to argue with me about Bobby Orr, Simmons and Kevin Hench and Sal, they want to argue me like, oh yeah, you don't think that Bobby Orr, like, I haven't seen Bobby Orr play. How much do you want me to?
My number one thing about baseball is like they're like best player since Babe Ruth. I'm like, that was 100 years ago. Like what?
No breaking balls or black guys. But otherwise, still the best ever.
I'm like, what are we? Can you imagine? I don't even know who's playing the NFL in 1923. Can you imagine being like, yep, Derrick Henry, same as some guy playing 100 years ago? You'd be like, what are we doing here? Baseball, it's my thing that drives me, and I love baseball. It drives me crazy about how we compare baseball players 100 years. Shohei Ohtani and Babe Ruth, they both pitched and hit. It's not the same thing.
You just made me think of something, Schwartz. Would I get the jerk? I don't know if this is knee jerk, but based on what I've seen, the highlights, the grainy old black and white, if I were 25 in 1930, I would be the greatest NFL football player. You can laugh all you want. That's true.
Have you ever seen this?
Have you ever seen this thing?
I've seen you throw.
This arm's live, friend.
You'd be up there. You'd be one of the better athletes. Yeah, absolutely. Coming out the Great Depression, just like a fully like yoked Dave come out the Great Depression to throw passes.
Oh, I love when the historian guys want to argue with me about Don Hudson. I was covering Don Hudson, or the equivalent of me. No wonder he scored 17 touchdowns a week. All right, Schwartz. So the exercise is float a new name. Zaz has already claimed Derrick Henry.
So I think new name. I think I said Emmitt Smith, right? Is up there. Is that my name, or I have to?
Yeah, okay. You can go Emmitt. Top
Emmitt
six.
Smith.
Top six. Okay, Zaz next.
Marshall Faulk. Marshall Faulk, obviously greatest show on turf, but Marshall Faulk felt like, to me, the first great pass-catching running back where he was elite at both running the football and catching out of the backfield.
If you apply the standard, which I think is in everything, but it's an interesting way to look at this, Marshall Faulk wouldn't probably be a great running back in 1975. That's the only knock I would have on him, is he's not a traditional between the tackles type of guy. But yes, kind of redefined things and picked up where Tony Dorsett left off. Tony Dorsett played in the wrong era for the wrong coach. He was obviously an essential member of America's former team, but if he would have gotten, as my old man always used to say, the guy who grew up Hopewell Vikings and in my mother's backyard there in Aliquippa, PA, my old man used to say if he played for a coach that gave him the ball 4 more times a game, he would have broken all the records. And I think that's kind of true. The problem is he's a little slight, but he was more of a between the tackles guy, even though he was a little slight, and his main virtue was the speed. So I'm putting Tony Dorsett in there. So we have Walter Payton. We have Marshall Faulk. I'm putting Tony Dorsett in there. Let's debate these names. Schwartz, both of you guys probably don't know these guys very well. I think the second best running back of the Super Bowl era is Eric Dickerson. I think a lot of people, when they look at his highlights, it's like watching somebody from the mid-20th century. It's sort of like, remember the sprinter, Michael Johnson, the gold medal sprinter? They both are, and Jerry Rice has the same thing. And I've talked with Dickerson and Rice about this thing. They made it look too easy. Their stride was so graceful. They were always upright. If you think about it, when did you ever see Eric Dickerson or Jerry Rice ever have to struggle to get an extra yard, to dive to get the ball? It was always in stride. They were always upright. And that upright style furthered the fact it looked like too easy for those guys. They don't make the list. But in fact, Eric Dickerson, for a window of time, was the best running back. He almost went to the Super Bowl. Dieter Brock under center. How say you, Schwartz?
That's fair. Again, like a guy didn't watch a ton of, because I'm younger. So I think that's fair to put in. His stats obviously back it up. You're right about his running style was very smooth and very efficient. Can I throw one more name in there? Well, actually,
I'd like that.
I want to throw 2 in there. One's real and one's just I want to talk about. Adrian Peterson is definitely up there in my opinion.
I wanted to transition for your sake. Earl Campbell would be the other 20th century name I would want in there, and the Juice too. I don't know if you know about that guy. Orenthal, James Simpson.
I don't know who that is.
Last one before you were alive, but I do want to get some 21st century cats. Go ahead, Schwartz.
So he's never going to be in this discussion, but he needs to be. Jamal Charles. he averaged 5.5 yards a carry. He got hurt. It's unfortunate. That's part of life. But his ability to run and then also catch a ball in the backfield, which if you were to ever knock, and I know the discussion is more about Derrick Henry, like the one thing about Derrick Henry you would say is he's not a dual threat's the wrong word to use, but he's just not a guy that catches a ton of passes.
Right.
In this era too, I think
correct.
that's
You can't wait, hold on. You can't knock him because they don't throw him the ball. When they do throw it to him, he catches it.
Well, they don't throw it to him. Well,
but why would you don't need to throw it to him?
He's not really like that style of back who's going to go out of the backfield and run routes. That's not his.
I think you're being sizes.
He's very much like a straight line, like. He shouldn't be that fast and that size, but he's not like Christian McCaffrey or Saquon Barkley. They're different style of running backs. I'm not saying Derrick Henry is bad for that. That's what they are. They're two different guys. Like if you were to judge, like who would you rather have on your team, Saquon or Derrick Henry or Christian McCaffrey or Derrick Henry? If I'm a team that wanted to use a guy like yesterday, McCaffrey lined up inside and at the slot and ran a corner route for a touchdown. Like Derrick Henry's just not doing that. It's not what he is as a player.
Zaz, let's bring it on home here. Maybe this was a little too all over the place to land on 6 names proper, but I guess the other guy who we should shout out in Super Bowl era is Terrell Davis. In the era that included Emmett and Barry Sanders and all the rest of them, he was the best running back for a few years. He just was undone by that knee injury. Still was good enough and was healthy enough to win 2 Super Bowls. 21st century, Zaz, who's the best running back? Is it Derrick Henry? Is it Saquon, Adrian Peterson? And I'm throwing one in, call me a homer. For a couple of years there, Lev Bell was the best running back of the millennium.
Well, I'll also add there, because you brought up Le'Veon Bell and Jeff brought up, and you also brought up Terrell Davis. That's my whole argument with Derrick Henry, is because those guys, for a short period of time, were amazing running backs. And eventually, it was injuries that did them in. That's my whole point with Derrick Henry. If he continues to not slow down and he gives us another 4-5 years of what he's doing right now, it's the longevity for me.
Yeah.
Where
it is crazy. You're right.
That's my argument. Yeah. That's why I think he's got to be in the conversation.
He's definitely breaking the mold of what we thought running backs could do, right? Because in this era, obviously, we've come back to the running back a little bit, but his ability to do this year over year, it's why probably Tennessee was like, we're not doing it. It's why the Cowboys, honestly, a couple years ago were like, he's not worth $9 million. He's older. He's going to get hurt at some point. But just the ability to continue to put up these numbers every single year is what helps him, I think, in this discussion.
Right. This is a guy who gets the shit kicked out of him, and it's a paradox that has existed for a long time in sports, which is the biggest guy is the one who's going to wear out the most quickly. Mm-hmm. It starts in my head with Mark Bavaro and Gronk and Shaq and Mario Lemieux and Eric Lindros. The biggest dude is getting run into all the time. That Derrick Henry is still doing this after all those years. It's a great case. Zaz, before you go, Zaslow Show 2.0, the college tour, Dan Le Batard show. You're also the Miami representative here, or one of many, on Football America. We're seeking to find the best food stuff by football town in Football America. What is Miami's offering here? What's the signature food stuff?
Oh, Cuban food, so good. You get yourself a Cuban sandwich, or you get yourself some empanadas.
You don't get all the Cuban food. You choose one item.
No, man, just one item then? Yeah, give me a good Cuban sandwich. Come on now. Yeah. Love delicious. A good Cuban sandwich.
They are very good. I don't even like ham necessarily, and
ham is so good.
Same, Dave. Same. I don't eat ham ever except a Cuban sandwich. That's it.
I don't know what it is about the yellow mustard. And I'm a dark mustard guy.
Put that pickle on it. Let's
doesn't
go.
make sense.
It's all the flavors. The pickle on there too is perfect. Yeah. It's like all the flavors together.
They're like the Eagles. They make no sense. Like, wait, you have to have a great coach, but their coach is Nick Sirianni. You have to have a top 5 quarterback. Is Jalen Hurts definitely that? I don't know. It's like, I don't like anything about the Cuban except when I bite into it. I love it. Hey, Zaz, the college football fan and pro football fan is going to love following you on social media and beyond. Thanks for the time, Pally.
Thanks, Dave. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
I like him. Schwartz. I don't care what you have to say about him behind his back. You enjoyed the conversation with Zaz?
It was fantastic, yeah.
Hey, what is the Charlotte, North Carolina signature food stuff?
It's pulled pork. I don't like it. It's just like two things. One is that I don't think it has much flavor, and two, I'm not a vinegar-based barbecue sauce person. I'm not a vinegar-based person in general. I just don't like vinegar. So putting, pulled pork, which just sort of doesn't really have a ton of flavor. I take that back. If you eat it like at a restaurant, it's dry. If you eat it like fresh, I'm sure it tastes delicious. And then putting the vinegar barbecue sauce on it, I'm just out on pulled pork. I'm not a fan of it.
Yeah, pulled pork among the barbecue meats is way up there on the most unnecessary of meats. You know what a lot of people don't do, and it's their loss. When you go to a barbecue house, make sure you get the hot links. A lot of people pass over those. Yeah, it's one of the best items.
It also depends. Look, I am obviously a large gentleman, and I am a very much.
I didn't want to say anything, but yeah, I noticed.
It just depends on where you are in the country. Like North Carolina, we're not doing hot links for your barbecue. You're in Texas, you get some sausage. Kansas City got some sausage. It just depends where you are. So I'm a big fan of tomato based. I love Kansas City barbecue. Obviously the meat and the beef, I should say, in Texas is delicious. Whether you do, obviously, I love a beef rib because you don't get them very often in a lot of places. So it depends where you are, what the best barbecue is.
Right. You get the beef ribs when you're in Texas. All right.
Yes.
Let's talk now about the second straight impressive victory. It's it's time for points per game. We're going to go through some games and make some points about these featured games that we just watched here. The one that is furthest in the rearview mirror is the Green Bay Packers once again beating a high-end, or allegedly at least, high-end foe in the commies in Lambeau. Micah Parsons popping, not at full strength. Let's talk about that game and where are the Packers for you in early on, admittedly, but still, where are they in the north and beyond in the NFC?
I think the thing that's most impressive today about Green Bay is they know they're good and they play like it. Like you could feel that confidence coming from them. Remember last year they lost games to only playoff teams by a couple of points. And so far, they beat the Lions by 2 scores, and they pretty much handled the Commander. I forget what the final score was.
That's the other thing. They whipped both those teams. The final score is besides the point because the Commies scored a late one that kind of threw it out. I mean, they whipped both those teams.
And the Parsons addition has been so huge. I mean, can we say immediately they won that trade? I know I thought at the time they did anyways, but people will push back and say, well, what about the Cowboys draft picks? You might draft another good player, but you're not drafting Micah Parsons. You're not at 28 or 30, wherever you're going to draft for the next couple of seasons with that draft pick. So, the Cowboys turn around, but we won't know the answer for 3, 4, 5 years. We know right now that Micah Parsons is giving them a little extra juice. Offensively, they've built over the years, right? They've added offensive linemen, they've added wide receivers and running backs, and Jordan Love seems to be coming into his own. So, just a really good team. The last thing that is important for me when I watch the Packers, and I've said this for a couple of years now, and it's certainly true, is there's a quality to knowing who you are, Dave, and they know who they are. They play to their strengths. They call a really clean game. Jordan Love does what he needs to do. Everyone just does their role, and it's very important to know that, right? To know what you are as a team, and the Packers, I feel like, really understand that.
The other thing I'll throw in there about the Pack is, among the head coaches, Matt LaFleur is sort of the least buzzed about high-end coach. He is comfortably a top 10 coach, maybe even a top 5 coach. That's another factor. And the other thing about the Packers last year, because it was down in Brazil, and I think it was Friday night, and I don't think everybody saw that game and all the rest of it, but Jordan Love got hurt in that game. And it's not a coincidence that he wasn't Jordan Love for a long stretch in 2024. This is closer to what we were seeing in the playoffs in 23. That's another thing to not sleep on. I just think a lot of us weren't really aware. Same sort of effect with Justin Herbert, as a matter of fact, last year too. Both those guys were banged up, had leg injuries, and I think we just kind of slept on where they stand. Okay, let's flip to the other side of that trade, the Dallas Cowboys. Here's what I'll say about Jerry Jones. I mean, I'm interested to hear how you respond to the question I'm going to ask. But for all the jokes about Jera, and he deserves them, the thing that he has semi-quietly done consistently for the last 12 or 15 years is he keeps loading up at the line of scrimmage, and he keeps hitting at that position. I don't know that he's ultimately the talent evaluator, but he understands for all the splash and the star and all that kind of stuff, they do generally do as good a job as anybody at the offensive line. True or false?
True. I mean, look, every first-round pick they've had for the last 15 years of the offensive line, Hall of Fame left tackle, Hall of Fame right guard. The center was on track to be one of those players the day before he got hurt. And you drafted Tyler Smith and you drafted Booker. I mean, they've only hit home runs there. The problem is they can't play any defense. I mean, so congratulations on offense, but Russell Wilson looked like he did 15 years ago against them in that game. They've allowed 37 to the Giants, and they allowed 24. Remember, Philly, that was before the rain delay when everyone came out and didn't score afterwards. So the Cowboys' defense is a huge issue. They can't rush the passer. Shocking, Dave.
Yeah, and the Russell thing was nice for him until they lost the game. And he lost them the game in overtime with that ridiculous throw that he attempted to make there. Bottom line, can the Cowboys be relevant in December? Or is the defense just too atrocious to be viable?
Too atrocious to be viable. And I don't want to cut into your time here, but breaking news: Kevin O'Connell, JJ McCarthy out for this week. Sprained ankle.
Oh, interesting. Thank you for that. That update.
Carson Wentz versus Jake Browning. What a game.
Well, you know what? I'm glad you brought this up. First of all, Joe Burrow is the cool cat starting quarterback. JJ McCarthy was the cool cat's backup QB. I have to hit the waiver wire as soon as we're done here. Was it a mistake to, as you now see the results thus far, and it's been 6 games since TJ Watt has a sack, as much as you want to lean into that particular statistic, he just hasn't been a huge consistent factor, and that's what he's being paid to do, is disrupt games. Was it a mistake for the Steelers to give him a long-term deal, or at minimum, did the Cincinnati Bengals do a better job with their edge rusher on the wrong side of 30 with Trey Hendrickson by just saying, like, here's some more loot? I know Pablo Torre may investigate the Browns for throwing some extra money. Like, here's just a little raise. Take it. Go ahead. Take it kind of thing. But at least Hendrickson is gone and off the books after this season. TJ Watt's going to be hanging around at age 32, 33.
Yeah, it's interesting, Dave, because I think that, it used to be like you hit 30 and you sort of hit a wall in the NFL, and teams certainly looked at you differently. With better prehab, right? Like guys taking care of their bodies, better techniques now to go get rehab if you get hurt. Guys are playing longer, right? And they're playing better for longer stretches. So I think it was okay to say, well, Hendrickson, we'll give you a 1-year deal. Maybe you earn more. Watt, we'll throw some money in your direction. But my problem with both those decisions, in my opinion, was that where you are as a franchise. Like, the Bengals just don't have anyone else on defense. They need Hendrickson to be there for the long term as of now. And Pittsburgh, I've said this for like years now, Dave, you got to decide one of two things, man. And really it's one thing, is that you have to suck to get a quarterback. Like, it's that simple. And they refuse to do it. And I'm not saying that you can't rebuild on the fly. Certainly teams have done it in the past. But they're sort of on a 1-year Aaron Rodgers thing again. And then next year they do another 1-year Aaron Rodgers thing with someone else. Like, what's the plan for you? An older aging defense? Are you just rebuilding at some point? I just don't like the way the Steelers have built their roster for the future. You have to do things.
Agree.
Short term and long term. Short term is not going to work, and long term is not going to work either at the moment. So I just don't like their approach. I'm fine with what the Bengals did, but I would have said, Hendrickson, for his leadership with the young guys and just needing a guy like that for multiple years now, you should have paid him long term. Right, I agree with you. What is the value of TJ Watt in 2026 if you presumably have a rookie quarterback? You're not going to the Super Bowl. So the next time they have a real shot at making a Super Bowl run is, as I say, when TJ Watt is 32 and Cam Hayward retired 18 months or more ago. Again, schizophrenia seems to be the order of the day. If you wanted to win, if you were all in on 2025, you wouldn't have traded away George Pickens, no matter how much a ne'er-do-well he is. He's in his contract year. Steelers fans are very upset with me for pointing that out. The thing I also keep pointing out is, I asked Mina Kimes this a few weeks ago, and now I ask it to you. Kyle Shanahan answered any questions about him being a legit QB whisperer by going to the Super Bowl 13-3, and then went to the Super Bowl, almost won it with Jimmy G. What evidence is there that Mike Tomlin at this point is a high-end defensive whiz when he has all those super expensive pieces all over the place? And at the time of this recording, they're the 28th or 29th ranked defense. So I've always said this, Dave, that if you are a head coach with you major in offense or defense, that better be really good, or what's the point? Right. Like, what's the point? Like, if you're an offensive coach, your offense sucks. Why are we keeping you around? That's your specialty. If you're a defensive coach, your defense sucks. Why are you staying around? Now, of course, maybe Tomlin's done this so long as a head coach, he's no longer a defensive specialist. That's certainly fair, right, Dave? Like, he's been at the helm for so long.
What's his specialty then at this point?
Well, no, that's the question, right? Like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
What are we? I'll tell you what, man. Seattle's offensive line ain't great, and they look like the '95 Cowboys. Like, it was a bloodbath in the line of scrimmage this weekend for the Steelers and Seahawks.
Last one for you, Schwartz, is Travis Kelce. Let's go back to your team. We discussed the Eagles and how they're winning games. You still have KC getting into the playoffs at minimum, and it's not like they're out of the running for the AFC West, but they better beat the Chargers when they play them. That much is sure. But where Travis Kelce is, because you're the first person, and we said this just last week, but you're the first person who 6, 7, 8 years ago said, be in love with Travis Kelce, with Tyreek Hill or whomever else. The guy who makes that offense go is Travis Kelce. It really does. I'm not trying to throw dirt on the guy. It does seem like he should move to the next phase of his life. How say you?
Well, he is. He's going to retire. I mean, there was an article came out week 1 that was like, this is his last season. Like, we all know that's going to happen. Look, man, the Chiefs tried last year to move off of Travis Kelce, not off his team, but just make him
marginalize him. Yeah.
Rashee Rice had over 30 targets through 3 weeks last season. Like, that was the guy. And then he got hurt. And then it became the Travis Kelce show again. And this year, they go in the season with Rashee Rice and with Xavier Worthy, and we're not going to use Travis Kelce as much. I don't think he got a ball in the preseason, like one ball in the preseason. And then all of a sudden, they're both hurt again. And it becomes the Travis Kelce show. They've been trying to minimize his role because he's getting older now, and they haven't had the ability to do so because they don't have any wide receivers that are healthy. So, or on the field. So
fair.
I think that, again, I will just caution you. I have to caution myself on this too. Week 6, week 7, Rashee Rice comes back, and then Xavier Worthy will be hopefully healthier.
Okay, but don't lose to Baltimore and at Jacksonville in the meantime. That's the problem.
I know. How about, I got a question though. I'll end with this. So if the NFL can say that Jalen Carter was suspended for a game that he actually dressed and at least got on the field for, why can't the same logic apply to like Rashee Rice, who missed all of last season with an injury? Like, he suspend himself with a knee injury, and then so like I don't understand how Jalen Carter can be suspended for a game that he actually dressed for and got paid for. By the way, I think he got paid for the game. I mean, he got fined, but he actually got a check for that game. So the suspension part of it is you don't get paid. That's also part of the suspension. I just thought the logic of that was interesting. I don't care. I think he should have played anyways. I wouldn't have suspended him for spitting. I think if it happens on a Sunday at 1:00, he's not suspended, but it happened on national TV in week 1. But the logic of that is just really silly, right? Do we agree on that?
I guess I think it's a little bit of a reach to conflate the Rashee Rice suspension because he was hurt versus Jalen Carter being thrown out of the game before it started. I think that kind of makes more sense. But either way, listen, Geoff Schwartz, you're dynamite. Go Ducks. Oh, the Hoosiers are going to see you. They're going to see you soon, friend. They're going to see you 11th. Sooner than you want.
Revenge for 2004 is happening, Dave. October 11th.
So be it. By the way, Geoff Schwartz, no matter what you say about his high-end athleticism, I'm sure he knows that you have to field the kickoff or it's a live ball. Oh, Caleb Johnson. Oh, my. It's not funny, Geoff. It's not funny at all. Laugh it up, jerk. Your team's 0-2. Ha! Yeah. Suck it. All right.
My football team didn't lose a rivalry either. So
all right, there goes Geoff Schwartz, everybody. Geoff Schwartz is smarter than you. He's as good as it gets. Make sure you're following him on social media and beyond. All right, there goes Geoff Schwartz, and here we go, too. But real quick, let's pick the games, the doubleheader on Monday Night Football. By the time you're listening to this, they may well already be in the books, but that shouldn't prevent us from making our picks. Bradley, what are the lines on the 2 games we have?
Have Houston at minus 2.5, and then we have
2.5. Chargers are, Texans are going to win that game in Houston and cover. The other one, Chargers, Raiders.
Chargers minus 3.5.
Minus 3.5. Chargers are for real. They're going to win that game. The Raiders are good. They're intriguing, but they're not as good as the Chargers, who I feel are getting close to ripe and ready to really win that division. That's why I picked them to win the division. Fuentes, anybody want to jump in here real fast?
I do. Everyone's forgetting about Dome Geno here. Geno Smith inside domes has a 110 QB rating, and I think it's a 30-5 touchdown to interception ratio.
Interceptions for
I think the
Dome,
Raiders are going to surprise them. I think the Raiders beat the Chargers today.
Okay, good for you. That was a great note. But then again, your brother fell on the sword last week when he challenged Dameshek. Don't do that. I told you the Eagles were going to win that game by 3, and so they did in Arrowhead. I told you last week that the Vikings were going to win by 3, and they won by 3. You should be listening to me, Fuentes brothers. That's the bottom line. Thanks to Zaslow.
Dave Dameshek,
thanks to
really
Geoff
big on
Schwartz.
picking favorites.
Thanks to everybody who's listening out there. We appreciate it. Keep on subscribing, spreading the good word. Until Friday. That's our next show. Friday. We'll talk then. Until then, thanks so much, football Americans. It's been a thin slice of heaven.